Nora. Hi. Hi, Thatcher. Hi, Millie. So, I brought this book. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? And it's by Dr. Seuss. And I thought we could read it outside tonight because there's a storm. And it's pretty neat. So, did I ever tell you how lucky you are? Oh, did you see the lightning? That was cool. Okay. When I was quite young and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dries. And he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny, sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, and when you start to feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more, oh ever so much more, oh muchly much, much more unlucky than you. He's sitting on a cactus. Ouch. Be glad you don't work on the Bungle Bung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you live in Gazette and got caught in the traffic on Zate Highway 8. Look at all of the traffic on Zate Highway 8. My goodness. I hope you don't hit traffic like that on your trip. Or suppose, for instance, you lived in Gazere with your bedroom up here and your bathroom down there. Your bedroom up here and your bathroom over there. My goodness. Oh. Just suppose you were in Herbie Hart, who's taken his thrum-dimbulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the grit or the gore fits into the scrucks or the snucks or the snore. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who's taken his thumb-dimbulator apart. Show you close. Oh my goodness, why did he do that? Oh. Think they work you too hard? Think of poor Ali Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard, and it's quick growing grass, and it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in the hay is a pitiless pay of 2 duklas a day. And Allie can't live on such pitiless pay. Oh my gosh, he's never gonna get that lawn mowed. So, he has to paint flagpoles on Sunday in Grooves. How lucky you are, you don't live in his shoes. Oh, he also has to paint, oh my goodness. And poor Mr. Bix, every morning at 6, Mr. Bix has his Borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair, it doesn't seem right, but Borfin just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unslump it, and then the night comes back and it slumps once again. So don't you feel blue. Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a boar-fin that schlumps. And while we're at it, consider the schlots, the crumple-horn, web-footed, green-bearded schlots, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's what I'll do. And you're lucky indeed, you don't ride on a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a whamel. You hear that thunder? Oh my goodness. So, a whamel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And boy, if your whamel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-dotter. He has to cross T's and he has to dot I's in the I and T factory out in Van Nuys. He has to dot the I's and cross the T's. My goodness. Oh, the jobs people work at out west near Hotch Hotch. There's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he's watched and he watched, but in spite of his watch, that bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So, then somebody said, our old bee watching man, he isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another Hotch Hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. They want somebody to watch the guy that watches the bee? Oh my goodness. The bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well, so another Hotch Hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today, all the Hotchers who live in Hotch Hotch are watching the watching the watcher. Who's watching that bee? You're not a Hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see? Look, they're all watching that man who's watching the bee. Oh my goodness. And how fortunate you're not, Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the last 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. Oh. And think of poor puffing Pooglehorn players who have to parade down the Pooglehorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pooboken. It's awful how often their poogles get broken. And oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Hatto. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that perhaps something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. Oh no, you see him? He doesn't get to have a shadow like everyone else. And the brothers Bazoo. Oh, the poor brothers Bazoo. Suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to. Think you're unlucky? I'm telling you, ducky. Some people are muchly, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. Oh, their hair grows to their friends' beards. Oh my goodness. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy. You ought to be shouting, "How lucky am I?" This is funny. Look at the pants snatching tree. Shame on that tree. And speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladdish you're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. Oh, this is why. You see a 17th radish. It's about to get eaten by that little guy. And you're so lucky you're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. There he is. And you're so lucky you're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Oh no, somebody left their sock. Thank goodness for all of the things that you're not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger hanging in space. That's why I say, Ducky, don't grumble, don't stew. Some critters are much, ever so much more unlucky than you. And that's the end of the story. The end. I hope you have a good night. And I love you guys. Good night, Nora. Good night, Thatcher. Good night, Millie.